Okay, so this is the basic water training or water attunement exercise. You kind of have to receive this transmission from water, so it has to be like through touch. And so a lot of different people have learned this, but this is how to learn it directly from water. So normally people are going through a guru or a teacher or some sort of lineage. And what that lineage teaches is held in the water of the body. And so it's transmitted via touch, it's transmitted via feel. So you can, the deepest lesson is from water itself. So you can get this from any body of water, but the body of water has to be able to like do certain things to you. It has to be able to float you in a certain way. It has to be able to apply pressure to you in a certain way for you to like really learn or receive from it. So you need, here you kind of need a bathtub, like at least big enough to kind of float your head. So you can, it doesn't have to be huge. It helps if it's huge, but you are laying back and you're going to let the water hold your head. So you submerge your head and just leave the breathing holes out basically, and have your head back far enough that the eyes are underwater, ears are underwater, and head is floating. So your torso is probably going to touch the ground from the weight of your legs. And so your lungs are going to want to float up, and then your head is also going to float up, and your head's about the same buoyancy or density as water. And so you lay back and you feel the way that water is holding your head, and how your head is in proper alignment, and it's not relaxed and it's not tense, it's floating. So when people learn this intellectually, they think it's like some degree of tension or relaxation or something like that has something to do with it. Because it's got this perfect tautness to it, or this perfect suppleness of the muscles. And it's not in the tension or lack thereof, right? Or in it's in the water. The water is exerting flotation on all the objects that it's in contact with. So all the blood in the body, all the cerebrospinal fluid, all of the interstitial water, all of that is exerting a silent flotation, silent holding of everything that it's in contact with. So if you want to develop or cultivate stillness, you have to hold yourself in that space. And that's meditation or whatever. That's silence. Silence is entering into the water of the body. That's the quiet that holds everything. So do it for a while, and then maybe talk about it more. Don't do that. If your water gets too low, you can't do this. Finicky drain plug. And as you get into position, you'll make waves that you'll notice have to kind of calm down before you can really relax into that flotation without And so you just sort of study or feel like the silence of the water and the buoyancy of the water. So anything in water is constantly experiencing that buoyancy or that flotation that you felt like holding your head up. And so there's the water in your body is enveloping everything. And so if it's centered, like if you center, then everything in the body is being lifted and held and supported in that silence. And so this is kind of the primary attunement. This is, water is the analogy on which all things rest, right? Like, so even in, and like especially molecular biology, genetics, water is the foundational substrate of all things. Like even if you look into quantum mechanics and field theory, electrons are, I think most people are conceptualizing them as electromagnetic waves, and that everything is an electromagnetic wave in a field. And so the only mechanism by which you can analyze that is, what is that? Well, it's water. It's the same thing as water. It's reality behaving like water. That's what we think light waves are. They propagate through what? The electromagnetic field. What is a field? Water is the only field that you can perceive. So since water is the only perceivable field that we have to interact with other than the air, and we can't really interact with the air, we're just in it. Like we know that the air is a field. Like we can infer it, that the air is a field, that it has currents, that it has waves, that there's things going on in it, but we can't see it. Water is a field that we can see. Unlike the air, water is dense enough to actually perceive it. And that's what we feel about like electrons. Like this is the surface of a field, and that surface interacts with other fields, just like how water comes up against air or how water comes up against land. That behavior is the interaction between all particles. It's a field of a particular density, and that makes up the molecule, and then it's in a field of a lighter density, and that's the medium. Sometimes it's air, sometimes it's water, probably sometimes there's stuff happening inside of the electron orbitals or whatever. That's probably fluidic to somebody. And there's fields that are even lighter than air, fields like gravity. That's another density or some medium that we're in that is, we feel that there's movements or currents in it, but it's outside of our perceptual scope. That's all field. The only way anybody's conceptualizing any of that is as fields. So it looks like, because it's like the surface of a field, like the boundary of a field is the only area where you're going to get light or emissions or whatever. But then there's also field currents, there's electromagnetism, there's like how the water moves without any disturbance on its surface. But in general, for energy to move through water to any significant degree, it requires a surface disturbance. It wants to propagate to the surface and then travel like a wave. So almost all energy that goes through a medium or a field has some sort of surface projection or some sort of like surface disturbance. Any sort of energy movement in the water is going to cause a surface disturbance, even though if the vast majority of it is underwater. Like a tsunami out in the ocean has a surface disturbance that you don't even notice. Or there's, potentially currents, and the currents are, these definite rivers down there, and you go, well, what's the imprint of this current on the surface? How do you see it? And it's like, it is there. It does express itself on the surface, like it creates waves. So, big underwater currents are going to create waves. Any sort of underwater movement is going to create some wave. So you could say that everything is on the surface, right? This is materialism, everything's on the surface. But if you have a deeper understanding of the medium, you see that, oh yeah, there's a lot of stuff under the waves. And so the medium that you can see, like if you become soft enough, you start to be able to see the energy of the air. And this is what people call vibe sensing, auras. It's just the air, you become sensitive enough, some part of you on the inside, that it causes your nervous system to react to it. Like there has to be some sort of internal softening so much that the medium around you causes your nervous system to react. And then you see that as the field become invisible. So you see smells, those are in the field. You see auras, vibes, like electrical activity, stuff like that. You start to be able to perceive it. And so then it becomes perceptible. The way that water is perceptible, because most of you is soft enough to respond to water. And so it's like the most perceptible medium. And then things like objects are a different density of water. It's like and you're so buoyant to it, you're so light that you can't go into it, just like you can't push a big block of styrofoam underwater, you can't pass through solid objects, because in relationship to that electrical field, you are so light or whatever that it's like your consciousness can't pass into it because it's too light. So it comes off as there's not, and you can't overcome the buoyancy of going into it. If you get like heavier and denser, then you could sink into denser fields. And it's like the same as like liquid mercury. Like you can't even push iron into it. And you can't even go in it very far as a person. You can only go into mercury up to your like shins before it starts floating you too much and pushes you out. So some things aren't really, nothing's like solid in the traditional sense. There's just different densities, which causes different amounts of buoyancy. And then things are shaped the way they are, not because of their solidity, but because the electrical field is pulling it into that shape. That's the shape of the atoms on the inside or whatever. And then that fractals out to all objects. but water is the base substance of that translation between this is like indescribable in a certain sense, except through water. And so that's why even in Christianity, you have the revelation of the Trinity. The first time that man was able to ever truly comprehend what God was in water. Water was the container. Water is like the substance, the material. Like water is the study of science, because everything is kind of turning into fields with quantum mechanics or whatever. Everything's noticing its field. And so the only way to understand what a field is through the experience of water. If you've never experienced something like water, there's no way you could fathom what a field is or what a wave is. That's the base, and the deeper your perception is of waves and fields, so the deeper your perception of water is, the deeper your understanding of any of the behaviors of water. And so water is like the part, it's like not in the story. Water is like, what are we concerned with? We're concerned with the way water is behaving, which creates things, which creates atoms. Like nobody's concerned with the water itself. They're concerned with the creation of it. And that's the same thing with like the story. Everyone's main concern is the biblical narrative, basically, which takes place in water at its start. And really completion. And so that envelops the myth. It's like the substrate, it's the substance, it's the bodies of water, and the people that have been through bodies of water become the story. So again, it's like all the actions of water, nobody's interested in the water. But in both systems of thought, both spiritually or narratively, and in factual scientific materialism, both disciplines are contained in water to a degree that it's not even exactly part of the goal set or not exactly part of the narrative. And so you'll see that no matter what the discipline is, they all kind of have this agreement at the core because they're all describing the behavior of water. Or how water's moving things, right? Even if you're interested in the substance of the body, like the minerals or whatever, what's moving the minerals around? It's water and then stuff from the air. It's stuff from the fields. So just no matter what, even the source of consciousness can only be, no one's ever conceptualized it other than as a field, I don't think, an aspect of it. But then it's also capable of being authentically human, right? Where it's not like a lie that it's a human, it is that thing. So it's like this field that is real. A field so subtle and so real that it makes the story real. Like anything that happens in it is real. And so that reality is the field, is the silence. What people call like the kingdom of heaven or salvation or what have you. And so that's there's different levels of that, and they're all just transmissions, but you have to go like in person. So this is a cool kind of hack because it's I don't have to go there. It doesn't really have anything to do with me, and you just have a bathtub, and you can do that until it really sinks in. It's a heavy burden, and the reminders of it are like everywhere.